Okay, well, he's the boss, all right. If you don't know him, this is our county extension agent, Travis Frankie, and he's gonna be giving a presentation today on tree management and care, which is very timely, because right now is when you should be starting to put trees in, right? Put them in the ground, yeah. If we kind of get a winter, which we really haven't had much of lately, but I guess this is as cold as it's gonna get maybe. Anyway, with no further ado, here's Travis.
All right. Well, thank y'all for having me. I will tell you probably the majority of the phone calls that Jeff and I get when we're, doing things from homeowners and that kind of thing, or either my grass is dying or my tree is not doing well. Okay, so I kind of put this little thing together to try to help folks with a little bit of some management tips, things they can do to help prevent some of that from happening, and et cetera, because 9 times out of 10 when we go out, we can't really help, we're doing autopsies to try to determine why the tree died, okay? Because how many of you every day get up, go outside and look at your trees? Some of you do, okay? Some of you do. But most people, they don't realize that there's something wrong with that tree until about half of its leaves are gone. Okay? So one big thing that you can do is just observation. I mean, keep an eye on it. Y'all know as well as I do, the last 4 or 5, at least 3 to 4 years, have not been very kind to us weather-wise. Okay? It's been extremely hot. It's been extremely dry, and that has taken its toll on a lot of our plants that we have out there, and trees are definitely included in that, okay? So most of the time, it all starts with the environment, okay? And then the environment is going to bring on other problems, stress, that kind of thing to those trees, and that's when we have some of these other things step into some of these trees that are stressed, and then we can cause problems that way, okay? She talked about planting. Planting is about the time to start. If you want to put some trees in, now is the time. It is dry out there, hopefully. If you listen to the weather forecasters, that El Nino or La Nina or it's changing. They say this spring it's supposed to be back to more of a wetter pattern than what we've had. Let's just hope they're right. The problem with it is the last couple of years when we've had that, it hasn't lasted very long. Okay? So we need to stay in that pattern for about 3 to 4 years, and that will help us tremendously, not only with our trees, but everything else. If you are going to plant them, okay, how do most of y'all get them? They come in a pot, right? Okay. I will tell you, probably the biggest mistake that you can make is planting the great big ones. All right. The smaller the tree is, the better it's going to grow. Okay. It's going to adapt better to what you put it into, and it's going to grow faster. Okay. Because the bigger ones that have been in that pot forever, you plant them, you're going to stress them. You're going to stress them. Okay. Be careful if you have nurseries or somebody that come in and plant them for you. Be out there and watch them when they do it. Okay? Because if you're not, they're going to dig a hole. They're going to pull it out of that pot. They're going to stick it in that hole, and they're going to put dirt around it, and they're going to mulch on the top of it. That's what they're going to do. All right? So what happens if you have a tree that's been in that pot for about 5 years? Those roots are growing in a circle the same way as that pot, right? If you don't cut them on 4 sides, or at least break them apart and pull them out where they have enough space where they can branch out and cut into the areas that you dug there, they're going to continue to grow in that circle. Okay? And you'd be surprised how many times I've gone out where trees have been planted like 5 years ago and it's not doing well, and during wet times it's not that bad. But when it starts getting dry, that area where that root system is only about this big around from where they planted that tree. Okay? So it's not picking up the water, it's not picking up the nutrients that it needs, okay? So I've actually gone out to some of these places, yeah, I planted this tree 5 years ago, or they planted it 5 years ago. I will grab a hold of that tree and you can move it like that, and the ball, you can see the root ball move onto the ground, okay? What do you do in a situation like that? You dig it up, you start over, okay? If the tree's still alive, you can dig it up, you can cut those roots, replant it, see what it does, okay? But if it never attaches, it's always going to be that way, okay? So make sure if you're planting new trees, either cut them or make sure at least you pull them apart. And make sure your hole is big enough where those roots can expand, okay? Number one thing. The next thing, new trees, you got to water, okay? When you plant new trees like that, yes, they are going to, sometimes they will go into a shock. And I've seen trees completely drop every leaf that they had when you plant them like that. Don't give up on them, okay? Keep watering them, keep them moist. I'm saying not to the point where it is wet, 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 but keep it moist. 9 times out of 10, that tree will come back out of it and it'll take off and it'll go, okay? Mulching on top of it works, just don't put it next to the bark. Okay, if you're going to mulch around those new plantings, make sure that mulch is pulled away from the trunk of that tree. And we do that simply because that has to stay dry. Okay, never plant it deeper than it was in the pot that it came out of. All right, because you're going to get that wet, you're going to rot that, it's not going to get the air that it needs, and it's not going to do well. Okay, another big mistake that I see. It always looks so pretty to plant plants around the base of a tree. They'll build it up with concrete, fill it in with dirt, plant. It's beautiful. Don't do that. You're going to hurt that tree. Okay? All right. Biggest mistakes that I see. Now we're going to talk about care on established trees that you have. Okay? Everybody likes beautiful trees in their yard, right? Heck, why wouldn't you? I mean, the aesthetic value that they bring to property, that kind of thing, the shade that they can bring, not only to when you're enjoying them underneath, but the house, cut down on your utility bills, that kind of thing. Trees are important, okay? They take carbon dioxide and they make oxygen, right? So we got to have them, okay? The problem is sometimes when we do plant them, we plant too many, okay? I mean, these trees are 30 years old, they're all growing together. You know, so if you are going to plant them again, another thing, make sure you plant them far enough apart. They are not going to stay little forever. They're going to grow, okay? They have to have a space where they can get the sunlight, the nutrients, the water they need, where they're not competing against each other. So you don't never want them to see them grow together, okay? Our rule of thumb used to be 30, now it's 50. 50 feet apart, okay? But how do we keep our trees looking like this? Do established trees need watering? Depends on the year, right? Okay. In hot, dry months of the summer, all trees could use a little extra water. Okay? And we're going to talk about how to do that. And how much do we water? Once again, it depends on how much it rains, right? So we have to make adjustments there. And will my tree survive if I don't water? Depends on its competition, depends on what kind of root system looks like, depends on a lot of things if you don't, okay? So the biggest mistake that I see as well is people water in the wrong spot, okay? When we're watering these trees, where do we need to water them? On the drip line of the tree, right? Okay, that's where all the nutrient uptake or all the water uptake takes part. From the drip line to about 25 feet out. Okay, that's where the feeder roots are. So it does us no good to water the trunk. That's where the anchor roots are. Okay, we got to put the stuff out there, we got to put the water out there where the roots can actually pick it up. Okay, how do we do that? Do you have sprinkler systems? You'd be surprised how many people I ask, well, my tree, it can't be lacking water, I have a sprinkler system. Okay, what kind of grass do you have growing? What other things do you have out there that's sucking up that water? Okay? We say, I put 1 inch a week down. Okay, how much is that grass taking before the tree even gets a chance to get in? Hot, dry times, that grass takes a lot, right? Okay, especially if it's St. Augustine or something like that. It takes a lot of water to keep those green and growing if you don't manage them right in the summertime. Okay, so how much will a mature tree, how much water does a mature tree need a day? Anybody thought of that? Okay, most trees, mature big one, 30 to 50 gallons of water per day. Per day. Okay? If you got a full soil profile, most of the time it's not a problem, right? But if it's dry like it's been the last 3 to 4 or 5 years, and that soil profile has dropped, those trees are going to suffer. We've got to give it a little extra supplemental water. Okay? I like to use soaker hoses around the tree. Okay? Around the drip line of the tree. Sometimes that's feasible, sometimes it's not. I get it. Who wants to be running soaker hoses all around the thing? Hopefully, we get back into a normal weather pattern where we don't have to do that as much. But hot and dry conditions, we need to make sure we give them some extra water. Okay? You can see this tree right here. Somebody did a really good job watering right here. Okay, the grass is nice and green on the outside of it. It's looked pretty dry, isn't it? We've watered around the base of that tree. Look at the top of it. Okay, so it's not getting the water that it needs, even though it's being watered around it, because we're watering in the wrong spot. Okay, one thing you'll notice about trees, drought type situations, depending on the tree, especially pecan trees. Any of y'all have any of those? Have any of y'all lost any of those the last 3 or 4 years? Okay? Pecan trees, when they are getting low on water, not getting the water they need, they will die from the top down. Okay? So anytime you see trees that are bare on the top and have leaves on the bottom, it is drought that is getting those. Okay? Nothing other than drought. It's not getting the water that it needs. Okay? Well, everybody says, well, pecans have big tap roots. Yes, they do have big tap roots. But what happens when the water level goes down? Like it has been over the last 4 or 5 years. It doesn't get the water that it needs. So we gotta supplement them, and we gotta water in the right spot. Okay? Water around the drip line of the tree. This next one, this is just an example. This is a field that has been planted in something like oats, ryegrass, something that has been planted there. You see out in the field that it's nice and green out there, right? What do you see close to that tree right there? It's pretty sparse right there, right? Why is that? The trees getting the water and the plants are not. Okay? So that's just an example of how much water these trees can actually use. Okay? So water is important. Probably if you don't do anything else, if you don't fertilize, if you don't do anything else, water is the key to try to keep them as healthy and as happy as possible so you stay away from some of these other problems. Okay? Fertilization. Do we need to fertilize established trees? Do we? Depends. If so, what does the tree need? And if we do fertilize it, how often should we fertilize it, and where and what do we fertilize it with? Okay? We're going to try to answer these questions here in this next slide. Yes, established trees sometimes need fertilization. Okay? Especially in dry, arid times as well. Okay? What do we fertilize them with? If you have established trees, the only thing that tree needs is nitrogen. Nothing else. Okay? The product of choice is ammonium sulfate. It's 2100. That first number is 21 is the amount of nitrogen that is in that deal. So basically what that's telling you with that nitrogen, if you put down 100 pounds of 2100, you're actually putting down 20 pounds of actual N. Okay? You need 1 pound per inch diameter of that tree. And this is more prevalent in pecans if you have them in the yard, if you want them to produce, that kind of thing. it does take nitrogen in order to make that happen. Probably best to do it every year. And I wouldn't recommend that you put it all down at one time. Okay? Split it up into like 3 different applications. All right? We do it around the drip line, and we put 1 pound per inch diameter of that tree. Does everybody know when I say inch diameter?
Of the 1 pound, is that 1 pound per year or 1 pound per time when you fertilize it?
1 pound per inch diameter of that tree per year.
Per year. So if I'm going to do it twice a year, I'm going to put a half a pound.
You're going to put, okay, say for example, you've got a diameter tree is 12 inches. You're going to put 12 pounds of fertilizer. If you're going to split it 2 times, you're going to put 6 pounds, and you're going to put 6 pounds. If you're going to do it in 3 different times, you're going to do 4, 4, and 4. Okay? Yes, ma'am?
Are you measuring diameter at 4.5 feet above the ground?
Yes. It's going to be,
You could reverse, do it with the area of the circle and just change the formula around.
yeah. We're going to put it at the drip line of the tree. We're either going to do it before a rainfall event, like we can all predict that. You know, but if you've got a pretty good chance, they say it's supposed to rain, it wouldn't hurt to put a little fertilizer around the drip line of that tree and water it in. If it doesn't rain, either use some type of watering with a hose, soaker hoses or whatever, to break that nitrogen down where it gets down where the roots can actually pick it up and use it. Okay? All you need is nitrogen. The other stuff in the soil is probably prevalent. Okay? And what you got to understand as well, if you have grass growing, it's using some of that as well. Okay? So, but 1 pound per inch diameter is pretty much all you need. And that comes straight from Dr. Larry Stein. Okay? And most of y'all know who he is. Okay? He's forgot more about trees and plants and different stuff like that than most of us will ever know. Okay? Any questions on fertilization?
I've got a question. Does it depend on what type of soil you have? Like if you have like a sandy soil?
Yes, it will. Now what you have to remember on sandy soils, that kind of thing, nitrogen will leach a lot faster. Okay? So it's going to move from the top to the bottom real quick. All right? I still wouldn't go over what the recommended deal is. Let the tree tell you what it's doing. Okay? You can always let the, you know, the plants will tell you if they're happy or not. You just have to watch them.
How about fruit trees?
We're going to talk about that here in a minute. We're getting to fruit trees here in a little bit. This is just shade trees we're talking about right now. We have a whole section on fruit trees. But the rule of thumb is the same. The rule of thumb is the same. In our soils here in Guadalupe County, most of the time we have enough phosphorus and we have enough potassium in the soil where you do not have to supplement that. Okay? Nitrogen is about the only thing you have to supplement. Okay. Pruning. Should we prune? Our shade trees in our yard, should we prune them? Here's the only time I prune. If I can't drive under with my lawnmower and it hits me in the head, I take that off. Okay? That is the only time that I will prune. You talk to any forester or anybody from the Forest Service, they will tell you this. Trees put on the amount of leaves that they need in order to produce the food that that tree needs. Okay? So if you're constantly going out there and pruning them and cutting that off, what are you encouraging the tree to do? Put on new leaves. What does it take to put on new leaves? It takes water and it takes nutrients in order to do that. Okay? So, why do most people prune? Especially if they have big shade trees in their yard, why do they prune?
To get grass to grow under.
It's exactly it. We're taking that out so we can get sunlight through, so the grass will survive underneath the tree. We are causing more damage than what we're doing good. Okay? So, if you have big trees, the big, full trees, and you're having a hard time making your grass grow underneath there, by God, do something else. Do something else. You do not have to have a big, green, lush yard up to that tree base. Plant something different. Plant something that's going to be more shade tolerant, that's going to grow. Plant some flowers. Plant, monkey grass. Anything. Plant something under there. But do not stress and hurt your trees in order to get the grass to grow in your yard. Especially live oaks. Especially live oaks. If you cut too much off of them, what do? You send them into shock. Okay? You stress them. What do you do when you stress them? You make them more susceptible to disease. Okay? So, try not to do that. I mean, you'll drive around town and you'll see it all the time. They come out of the trunk and the trunk goes way up there and there's leaves on the end and there ain't nothing in between there. What happens in 2 years? The tree is trying to recover. It's setting on the little shoots everywhere and it has leaves again, right? So what has to happen again? Then you have to go in there and you cut them all off again. Okay? So it's a constant battle. So if you're constantly pruning, you better be constantly watering and you better be constantly fertilizing. Because you're going to hurt that tree. Okay? If we do have to prune, like I said, I don't like to drive under there with my lawnmower and get hit and cap knocks off and then I hit it with the lawnmower and it shreds it and that kind of thing. Especially live oak trees, red oak trees, that kind of thing. If you are going to prune them, if anything is cut over an inch diameter, make sure that you paint it. Black spray paint works the best. If you're going to take a big limb off, we want to take it off a little at a time. We don't just want to go to where the trunk is and cut this great big old limb off, because what's going to happen when you get that chainsaw about halfway down? Then it's going to tear on the way down, right? Okay? So we want to cut it off in chunks, and then you can come back and you can cut next closest to the trunk as you can get, and it will heal a lot better. And make sure you spray paint it. Okay?
Just go close to the trunk, because I've heard,
It will heal better the closest to the trunk as you can get it. Do not leave a stump. Do not. Because you know what's going to happen when you leave that stump? It's going to sprout. Okay? Cut it off as close to the trunk as you can get it. Spray paint it. Best time of the year to do this. Okay? We're either going to do it in the dead of the winter time, or we're going to do it in the heat of the summer. Okay? August, December, January, early February. Okay? And we'll talk about why we're doing it then here in a minute, when we get to this next part. Okay? So don't prune if you don't have to. All right? Some of them will do it anyway. Because, we got to have that pretty grass.
it's like people do that when they clear land, and it's like the trees look like Q-tips. It's like, those are gonna just die.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the big thing too is you're talking about clearing land, that kind of thing. I will tell you, established live oak trees, red oaks, any trees that are established, construction can be detrimental to them. Okay? You may not see it the next year, you may not see it the year after, you may not see it till 10 years down the road. Okay? But if you cut roots, then you destroy roots, it's like taking some of your fingers off of you. Okay? It does the same thing to that tree. I have people ask me all the time, because some of these live oaks, the roots will come on top of the ground. Well, Travis, can I just cut those off? I said, okay, put your finger out there. I'm going to get my cleaver. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to cut your finger off. How does that feel? Okay? It hurts you, it hurts the tree the same way. Okay? So, there's other things you can do. You can cover them back up. You can try to raise the thing, just don't put too much at a time on there. try to get the grass to grow over it, or plant something else where you can't see it, where you don't have to mow it and hit it with a lawnmower, you know, that kind of deal. So there's other things you can do to make that work. What's next? Diseases. Two major diseases that we have that we deal with here most of the time, other than just the regular environmental stress, fungal type stuff, which these are both fungals as well. Oak wilt, hypoxylon canker. Okay? We have both of these here. All right? Oak wilt, 20, 25, 30 years ago, Oak Village North was hit terribly with it. Okay, if y'all know where that is. It's on the Geronimo Creek, north of town, north of the Chevron station, back off of Strimple Road back over there. There's a big oak wilt center there. You go down Geronimo Creek by the airport, the touch and go little thing over there along there, you got oak wilt there. If you go down to Schumann Lane off of 90, down there back in that subdivision, there's oak wilt there. Okay? They've had oak wilt on the TLU campus, and they've also had hypoxylon canker on the TLU campus in oak trees.
Does it affect post oaks?
Oak wilt only affects live oaks, red oaks, that group. Red oaks more than anything. Okay? And we're going to talk a little bit about what these are. That's what it can look like. Okay? So that's not a good thing. All right? Oak decline. A lot of times it's hard to determine the difference between oak decline and oak wilt. Oak decline will 9 times out of 10 be in mott's. Okay? And you'll just start seeing them year after year after year. They just decline over the time. Okay? Not a lot you can do about that. Okay? If you get oak wilt, if you don't catch it in time, there's not a lot you can do about it either. Okay? Because that tree will die. All right? Oak wilt is a fungus that gets inside the tree. It's hard to treat a fungus inside the tree. Okay? Basically what it does, it cuts off nutrient flow from the top of that tree to the bottom of that tree. The root system can't get the carbohydrates, the leaf, and it just cuts that xylem layer off, and the tree will actually succumb to it. Okay?
What causes it?
It's just a fungus. It's a fungus that, and we'll talk about how it's spread here in just a minute. Okay? It has been devastating in some areas. You go up to the hill country, it's really, really bad. Okay? 9 times out of 10, it's going to affect the healthiest trees. Okay? The trees that are doing really good, the ones that are taken care of, the ones that are watered, that's the trees it's going to get in. Because the tree actually, what we've learned, the tree actually kills itself. Okay? The tree, the healthy trees, they detect the fungus, they shut themselves down to try to prevent it, and it actually ends up killing them. Okay? You'll go to some of these oak wilt centers where you'll see a lot of it, and you'll see this one little straggly green tree in the middle that has survived. Okay? It was probably the weakest one of the bunch. But it didn't care. It needed everything it could get in order to survive. So it keeps going. A lot of these big ones will shut themselves down. Okay? How's it spread? 2 different ways. Okay? It's either spread by a beetle, which is called the Haemophagus, some with H beetle. All right? Or live oak trees are very bad about their roots grafting together. Okay? So if you have a tree here and you have a tree here, the roots grow close, they're going to graft together. So if one tree gets the fungus, it spreads it through the root system to the other tree. Okay? That's why trenching, that kind of stuff in big areas, they've tried to trench around it to cut those roots to try to break that cycle. We thought it would actually work, along creek bottoms, because the roots, but apparently roots go underneath creeks as well, because that didn't work. We've had it on both sides of the creek. Okay? That's why we talked earlier about pruning and when you prune. This beetle is less active in the heat of the summer and in the wintertime. Okay? So that's why we say prune August or during the dead of winter. You have less beetle activity. Okay? If you have oak wilt and you cut that tree up, okay, try not to transport that wood. All right? Try to burn it in place if you can. Because all you're doing sometimes is transporting that beetle with that fungus. Okay? There for a long time we said cut it down, put black plastic over the top of it. Okay? The heat from the black and the heat of the summertime with that thing will kill that beetle. Okay? Firewood, it's fine to use it for firewood. The heat will kill the fungus. Okay? It's okay to burn. The heat of the fire will kill the fungus. So you don't have to worry about spreading it if you catch it on fire. Okay? Prune at the right time. If you do have to cut it off one at a time, I don't care if it's middle of summer, middle of winter, always use spray paint or some type of pruning tar with anything that's over an inch diameter. Okay? It will prevent that beetle from getting to it, because what are the beetles attracted to? The sap that comes out of the tree when you cut it, right? Okay. So if you're spraying that over the top of it, you're preventing a lot of that. It will help the tree heal quicker, and it will help prevent that beetle from getting into those open wounds. Okay. A lot of times too, which you don't, we got a lot of thunderstorms and stuff in the springtime, right? We get wind damage. We get limbs that break. If you can, get up there, cut them off as soon as you can, and treat it. Especially if you're in a known oak wilt center. Okay? How do we identify it? This is on that picture to your far left is on a red oak. Okay? On red oaks, you 9 times out of 10 you will never see this. Okay? It will be up in the tree. That is the fungal spore mat of the oak wilt fungus. Okay? Releases the spores, goes into wounds, that kind of thing. Beetles come in there, they can go and move it around. Okay? The picture on the right are leaves from a live oak tree. And those leaves you'll either have flagging, like we call right here, the tips of it will turn brown, or you'll have the veins will turn dark brown and the rest of the leaf will stay green. And they will start falling out of the tree. Okay? So if you see that, that's a really good indication of oak wilt is what is wrong with that tree. Is it treatable? It is. It is treatable, but it's expensive. It's expensive. You actually have to get the fungicide inside the tree, and how you do that is by digging around the tree to where the flare roots are. You have to drill into the flare roots. You have to use a pressurized tank with the fungicide in it and have that tree take up that fungicide. Okay? And if you are going to treat them, they better have at least 3/4 of their canopy left. If you get past that, you're probably not going to do any good. Okay? We used to say treat to prevent. That don't work either. Okay? They used to say, oh, you have to treat them one time and one time only, and they'll be fine. That is not the case. Okay? Oak wilt will travel about 50 foot per year through the root grafts, that kind of thing, per year. So if you've got oak wilt in your area, you've got live oak trees in your yard, and you're seeing these trees that are 100 to 200 yards from you that are doing this, you need to start thinking about, okay, what's going to happen when it gets to me? Okay? Because it will travel. Areas of concern, you can see that red area there in Texas, we're right in the middle of it. So we do have it here. This is an old map, so it's probably gotten more since then. But oak wilt is a big problem. Not so much in pasture type situations, that kind of deal, but when it's in yard trees, it can really affect the aesthetic value of your house.
Bur oaks
are not susceptible. Okay, bur oaks, post oaks, blackjacks, they're not susceptible, but the post oaks and the blackjacks, we got other problems we're fixing to talk about. Yes, ma'am?
I was always told that you don't want a monoculture. So on my side of the street, we've got live oak, a red oak, I didn't plant that, a hackberry, a white oak, a live oak. The next one is a white oak. How far away?
Well, you want, I mean, as far as the oaks are concerned, like I said, well, I go from the drip line to about 25 feet on the outside of it. That's how far those roots are gonna go.
So I'm probably safe.
You should be fine. You should be, as far as root grafts are concerned. But that little beetle will travel further than that. So, just know that. Okay? Red oaks, we talked about, you see the spore mats. What will happen with red oaks, when they get oak wilt in the middle of the summertime, they will turn dark red just like it's fall. They will drop their leaves and they will die. Okay? So if you have a red oak and you're in the middle of the summertime and it's turning red like it's fall, there's an issue there. Okay? Hypoxylon canker, this is another one that we see a lot of. Not so much northern part of the county, but the southern part of the county and the sand hills, it's really bad. It's really bad. It is also a fungus that gets inside the tree. The bad thing about hypoxylon canker is that all trees have it already. Okay? They have part of it that grows on their bark within it all the time. It is brought on by stress. Okay? Drought stress, heat stress, injury, any of that kind of stuff happens to that tree. Y'all have all driven south of town, the Sound Hills. How many trees do we have in one area? There's a bunch of them in that area, right? I mean, they're all growing together. They're from here to that pole apart from each other. They're all competing for everything. Competing for the same water, competing for the same nutrients, all that stuff. Okay? So what happens when you get a tree that is stressed and this gets inside of it, okay, you'll start seeing some funny different things. I've seen it happen where the tree will die a limb at a time and take several years for it to die. And I've also seen it kill the tree virtually overnight. Okay? But what you will see with this is at death or near death, the bark will start popping off of that tree. Okay? And underneath that bark, there'll be a brownish, reddish type spore-like fungal mat. Okay? Bark pops off, releases the spores, goes to another tree that may have an injury or is stressed as well, gets into that tree, and that's how the cycle goes. Okay? There is no cure for this. None. I have seen it in post oaks, blackjacks, and I have seen it in live oaks, and I have also seen it in pecans. Now, in pecans, it looks different. That bark, it'll be black. Almost like shiny black underneath it. Okay? How do we cure it? We don't. We have a tree that dies from it, we need to cut it down as soon as we can, and we need to burn it. If there's not a burn ban. And we've had plenty of those lately. Matter of fact, we're still in one. Okay? Try not to transport it. Once it dries and that kind of thing, not much. I mean, it's once that spore mat is gone, you can use the wood for barbecue, you can use the wood for fireplaces, that kind of thing. Try not to transport it, but the best thing to do if you have one and you're not going to use it for that, pile it up, burn it. But nature has a funny way of taking care of itself. It always does. It always does. I've seen areas in the sand hills where we have a bunch of these trees and it'll be an area as big as this room, even bigger, this whole building, and every tree in there will die. And you'll look right in the middle of it afterwards and there's little post oaks or blackjack oaks that are coming back. Okay? So the problem with this one is when it gets in yard type situations, especially out there. I mean, I've seen great big post oaks get this and die. So what you can do with this is hot, dry summertime, extra water. Extra water, extra water, extra water. Try to keep them as healthy and happy as possible.
The little ones that pop up, do they have a semi-immunity to it then?
They have a what?
Do they have a semi-immunity?
No. No. They do not. Because they're coming from acorns, that kind of stuff that were there, that have come and now they're growing. I mean, that's just. Any questions on this? This is probably the biggest question we get, is on epoxy cane. Okay? Yeah, we get a bunch of them. We used to go out and look at every one of them. We don't even do that anymore. The only thing we have to ask them, okay, that afternoon, is the bark popping off of that tree? Well, yes, it is. You have epoxy cane. I mean, it's that common. And it's not just here, surrounding counties, everywhere else. I told you we had it in TLU campus, and it was on live oaks. And on live oaks, with hypoxylin canker, post oaks, that kind of thing, that bark will pop off in big sheets. I mean, just live oaks, it's little bitty ones. I mean, it just kind of, and underneath there, that fungus is in there. Not common in live oaks, though. I have seen it, but it's not common. Okay? There's that, and y'all can read that if you want to. But it's not anything that I haven't told you already. All right? Prevention is the key, there is no cure. Fruit trees. Okay, let's talk a little bit about fruit trees, fertilization, watering, pruning, diseases, insects, that kind of thing. They can all affect fruit trees. 9 times out of 10, the diseases that you get are going to be self-inflicted. They're going to be self-inflicted. Insects are a result of, borers, that kind of thing that can get in them. Fertilization and watering is going to be the same as it is with your shade trees. Okay? Personally, I hate peach trees. I absolutely hate them. Okay? Because what do peach trees require to grow? Nope. They require chill hours. Okay? How many chill hours do we get here in Seguin, Texas? Okay? So the biggest mistake that we make is we plant varieties that require high chill hours, and we have low chill hours. Okay? Does everybody know what a chill hour is? Okay. Chill hours is the amount of time under 40 degrees. Okay? So a low chill hour peach tree will probably require 200 to 400 hours of temperatures below 40 degrees in order to grow and do well. The higher ones are going to require at least 6 to 8. Okay? So if we're going to plant peach trees around here, we need to make sure that we find a variety that is a low chill hour variety. Okay? Because some years we can have it, and then we have some years like this year that we're not going to get close to some of that. Okay?
Is that why they do so well at my farmer's market?
Yes. Yes. There's another reason I hate fruit trees. Don't get me wrong, I can go to the grocery store and buy all the fruit I need. Okay? And you may like to grow them, and they're all fun to grow, and it's fun to pick your own and grow your own stuff, and I get that. And there's a lot of people that like to do that. But we all know what kind of winters we can have here sometime, right? Okay? We know sometimes that it can be 90 degrees in February. And it has been. What happens when it's 90 degrees in February? These little peach trees, ooh. Ooh, it's time to bloom. So we're gonna bloom, we're gonna start putting leaves on, and we're doing great. What happens in March? It's 17 degrees. What happens to that little peach tree? Poor guy hurting a little bit, ain't he? Okay? So we really, in our area, we do not have the consistent environment for peach trees and some of these fruit trees to do well. Okay? Citrus is the same way. All right? So if you're going to plant citrus trees, that kind of thing, make sure you plant them on the south side of your house, or plant them in a bucket that you can move in and out. Yes, ma'am.
I would assume that applies also to apricots and other trees that are similar.
Yes, ma'am.
Apples, trees.
Do not plant an apple tree in this county.
Amen.
Cotton root rot will get them, and we got a bunch of it. And it'll grow fine, it'll be beautiful, it may produce fruit, and then overnight, you're gonna see all the leaves shrivel up, and it's gonna be dead the next day. Cotton root rot is a fungus that lives in the soil. The tree will do fine until that root system grows into it. Cotton root rot is one of the main reasons that we don't grow cotton here in this county anymore. Okay, so if you go to a cotton field and you see out in the middle of it, it may be green around it, and there's a center of that cotton field that is all died. It's cotton root rot. Same fungus that affects these trees, the fruit trees.
And grapes.
And grapes. Pierce disease is a big thing on grapes as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of challenges that we have. Funny story. All the time. You know, we have a lot of people moving into this country, to the state of Texas, and some of y'all may be, some of you, I don't know. Some of you may have come from California or Tennessee or Georgia or this kind of thing. And they all like to bring their own little plants with them when they come here. Okay? And then they wonder why they don't do well. Okay? Just because you could grow it in California, or you can grow it in Tennessee, or you can grow it in Georgia, doesn't mean you can grow it here in Texas. Okay? Our summers are brutal. Brutal. And they have been the last 3 or 4 years. Okay? We don't get the rainfall that we used to get. Even some of the plants that are native here sometimes don't do well because of that. So...
We've had Yopon dying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Pine trees are another one. Oh, I just love it. I want to plant pine trees. Move to East Texas. Okay? You know, we used to sell those pine trees here. The Virginia pines and the loblollies. When we had the Christmas Tree Growers Association, we had several of them. We'd get them every year, and then we'd have extra ones. People come in, buy them. They plant them all up and down the driveway. They're beautiful for about 15 years. And then they die.
Magnolia trees.
Will work just fine. If you don't mind picking up leaves all the time, you're good. Magnolias do fine here. But, anyway, there you got my spiel on fruit trees. We're going to talk about pruning these fruit trees. Okay? That's the comment. All right? Do not prune that like that. Okay? This is actual picture, so you know it happened. All right? What happened with this one, they kept growing up, they kept taking every little shoot that came off the side. Okay? You got to leave those shoots out there a little bit. Okay? That's the only way you're going to get that trunk to grow. All right? It gets bigger, it gets more sturdy. You can always come back and cut them off later. Okay? Till you get that tree as high as you want it to, and then you can let those branches go out and then come back and cut those ones off in the bottom earlier. Okay? Later. Okay? But don't do it like that. All right? I just thought that was a cute picture, so that's why I put it in there.
He looks so proud of himself.
Yeah, he does. I would be too. I mean, how many of those do you see? Not very many. I talked about pruning in shade trees, that kind of thing. I encourage you not to do it. If you have peach trees, plum trees, those kind of things, you have to. Okay, you have to. You want to prune that tree where it looks like an upside down umbrella. Okay, so you're going to take the central leaders out, you're going to let the branches go. Okay, you just have to remember when you're pruning these things, start early. All right, train them early, and always remember that majority of these fruit trees are growing on last year's growth. That's where the fruit is going to be, on the prior year's growth. Okay, so you can't take it all off. If you take all the prior year's growth off, you're not going to have any fruit the next year. You might not have any fruit anyway, depending on the year that we have. But at least you have your chances better. Okay? So this is one that needs to be pruned, right? Okay? And you know what? Another reason we keep them short? Yeah, pick them. You know, the good Lord made me vertically challenged for a reason. I don't like heights. I don't like ladders, and I ain't getting on fruit to pick no fruit off no tree. Okay? So we can keep that tree low and to the ground, then we have a better opportunity or easier opportunity to go pick the fruit that comes in there. So this is that tree. That's it after it was pruned. Okay? You see all this right here? The sticks and things that are coming up there? That's all the prior year's growth. That is where your new fruit for this year is going to be. Okay? There's a lot of that laying on the ground right there. Then you got to haul all that off. Or put it in a pile and you have a burn ban and you can't burn. That's just part of it. Okay? But the key, to all of this is try to plant the right things. Okay? I tell people all the time, will this grow here? Will this grow here? Will that grow here? I'm a big natives type guy. I push native plants. I push the superstar plants. Things that have been tested that actually grow well here and will perform. Okay? So I tell people all the time, I want to plant a pine tree, or I want to plant something else, or this and that. And I ask them, I said, when you're driving down the highway of Interstate 10 or some of these farm market roads or 123, how many pine trees do you see growing out there? You don't see any. And they go, well, why is that? I said, because they just don't do well here. If they were designed to be well here, our pH is wrong, our soil types are wrong, that kind of thing. They just do not perform like they do in East Texas. It's part of it. It is what it is, okay? Let's not get mad about it. Let's just plant something that's going to do well. Okay? You'd be surprised how many times phone calls I get, people drive down Interstate 35 or Interstate 10, and they'll ask me, they'll go, Travis, what is that pretty plant that is out there that has all these pretty yellow blooms? And I'm going, are you talking about Weisach? Yeah, Weisach. They're just beautiful. Where can I get some of those to plant in my yard? All right, if you want them and you want to be changing your tires every time you mow your grass, that kind of thing, you go ahead and plant them. I said, but we spend more money trying to kill them than we do trying to grow them. All right? So, but you got to understand, and I've learned this a long time ago. I've been doing this for 35 years. It's to each their own. Okay? And I will tell you this, I will never argue with success. Never. If you're doing something that I say it's not going to work here and you're making it work, more power to you. More power to you. I applaud you. I'm just trying to prevent you from having heartache when it doesn't work. Because a lot of the stuff that we try doesn't work. So, anyhow. Questions? Good Lord. Yeah.
Do you recommend when you water around the drip line, do you have one of the pipes that goes down into the soil, so it gets deeper and not on the top.
Depending on what you're doing. If you're using soaker hoses, you probably don't need to do that. It's gonna go slow and it's gonna go in there. If your soils are tighter and you're using you know, some type of deal like that, and where you have runoff, then yeah, something like that would work. But if you're using the soaker hoses where you get good infiltration, you probably don't need to do that.
I got a mulberry tree.
Mm-hmm. Fruitless or not?
Really good, except it's like 18 feet high now. Can I top that off?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We top fruit trees, pecan trees, you can do it. It just looks ugly for a little while.
All right, okay. And for the lady who wanted to know how to build that, take your diameter, take your radius or your circumference around the tree and divide it by 3.14 and you get the diameter.
What about fig trees?
Fig trees?
Yes.
Yes, you can. A lot of times them fig trees will get real big. You know, that used to be my job when I was a kid. My grandma had one. And it was my job to climb up the top and pick those figs out of that tree. So yes, you can. And one thing I will tell you, pecans, that kind of thing, you can prune those any time of the year. Okay, you don't have to wait. Now, if they got a bunch of nuts on them, you might want to wait till they drop the nuts or that kind of thing. But you can prune a lot of those nut trees and stuff any time of the year.
On the peach tree that I'm not supposed to be growing.
Yeah. I didn't say I'm not. I said I don't like them.
This time is dormant oils, other kind of sprays, any kind of other.
Dormant oils, you can use dormant oils now when they're dormant.
Okay.
Okay, those are really good for the plum cucurio and some of the borers and that kind of stuff to get them. Once they start greening out, don't use them.
Okay.
You'll burn everything off of them.
And on the apple trees that I'm not supposed to.
Yeah.
The apple trees that don't want to go into dormancy, they're still mostly.
Well, I hadn't froze yet.
And say again?
Have you had a freeze yet?
No, it's shorter days. That's what I've been able to do. I'm able to do that every year. I'm pretty good at that. But anything I should be doing other than fertilizing and that sort of?
No, that's it, because I promise you one of these days, a cotton root rat's gonna get you.
Right. Okay.
And just know, when your tree dies overnight, that's what did it. I mean, I'm telling you, they will die so fast, the leaves will actually stay on the plant.
And the key to success here is lowered expectations.
Exactly. Plant twice of what you need. And maybe half of it will survive.
Maybe. I have a Monterey oak in my chicken coop. It's got bulbs, like wood bulbs at the bottom, you know, like knots.
Like knots covered with bark?
Yeah.
Okay.
And is there anything I need to worry about?
No. Monterey oaks are good. I like Monterey oaks. Shamar oaks, all those are all good trees. If you're gonna plant a tree, the one I prefer the best are bur oaks. Good, native, drought tolerant tree. They have the great big leaves and the great big nuts. Just don't stand underneath them when they're falling. But they're fun to watch and to grow. And they get big trees and they grow moderately fast. Another thing I will tell you, just always remember, the faster the tree grows, the shorter its life expectancy is. Okay? So like these Texas ash and Arizona ashes and Fantex ashes, a lot of those trees were planted because they grow fast. Okay? They're going to live 25 to 30 years and you're going to start seeing them die back. Okay? So they work great. You know, I could plant one now, I think I'm good. But, you know, new homeowners, that kind of thing, that's why they don't plant a lot of those anymore. Because they die.
What about cedar elms?
Cedar elms are good. They're native. But I will tell you this much, in drought type situations like we had over 3 or 4 years, they are the first ones to die. But disease-wise, that kind of thing, they're good. Yes, ma'am?
Okay, I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but in order for me to be able to tell my husband the answer to this, it's gonna have to come from an expert and not from me. But, so, years ago, when our neighborhood was established, Maldonado came in and planted some trees, some live oaks for us. And they are just, there's a strip, I guess, where they are, and everything else is concrete, right? So there is, the drip line is concrete. Well, they're starting to decline now. It's been 20, well, it's probably 25 years. And my husband and all the other people in the neighborhood want to, they're putting soaker hoses around as far out as they can go. And it's just not doing anything. So my question is, when you have that situation, which is not that uncommon, I guess.
No, it's not.
Cement,
And they're only gonna get so big and they're gonna quit growing.
right, so that's kind of what they've done. But a couple that are, I guess my question is, can they survive that kind of environment?
Oh, they can.
Okay.
They can. I'll give you a prime example. You come look out this window right here. And you see this parking lot over here at this building right next to us. There are live oak trees that are growing right in the center of that parking lot.
Okay.
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 The problem, what you get sometimes too is especially on asphalt, concrete, maybe not as much, but sometimes those roots will push them up and you'll have cracks. You'll have cracks, asphalt.
Yeah.
You get cracks where that water can actually get in there.
Well, they're filling all the asphalt cracks.
And see, therein lies your problem.
It's a private street, so they're trying to preserve the road. So, okay, so then the other part of that is all the money that we've spent as a neighborhood to put soaker hoses around and run them. Is that a wasted effort? Are the feeder roots still going out underneath that asphalt?
Yeah, they can. They're gonna grow out some. The problem is, they can grow out all they want to, but they still may not get what they need.
Right, that's what I'm.
So, I can't answer
So
that
there might be
with
enough
the
feeder roots around where they
certain
can-
degree of
Yeah.
accuracy, because you don't know how those roots are growing underneath there, and I mean, you can't see
So
that.
it's not a complete waste to do that.
No, it's not. Anything you can give them water is gonna help. They just may not be picking up as much as they would if there was out there where those feeder roots could actually get it.
Thank you.
But you see the same thing over here at if you go up Court Street where the China Buffet is, with those oak trees that they planted there in a little strip right there. You know, they've grown to that point and they've kind of just stopped.
Okay, that's good to know.
But they still look healthy, they're just not getting very big.
Okay.
Anything else?
I've got a gardenia that's yellowing. Where do I feed it?
That's yellowing? Okay, here's when you have yellow. Okay, when things turn yellow, even yards, grass, that kind of thing. There's 3 different problems. Not enough water, too much water, or you got a nutrient issue.
I think it's a nutrient issue.
A lot of times you get coppers and put it on some of that stuff, it greens it right back up.
Coppers. Thank you.
Soil tests are good. If you don't run those, especially in your yard, that kind of thing, soil tests will be good. We can pick up the kits here. You can get them for like 12 bucks. They'll send you back a fertilizer recommendation, tell you exactly what you need. That's another big thing is a lot of these new subdivisions are being built. You know, and they're planting trees in there, and homeowners, you know, they don't know, they weren't there when the house was built. I mean, I watched one on Cordova Road go in over there, and they built base. I mean, they built this base, it's way up there. And then they come in and they put about that much topsoil on top, and then they plant a tree in that. Okay? And so what the success of that's going to be, I have no earthly idea, but time will tell. So Jeff and I, we already we braced ourselves for that. We're going to have issues. It is what it is. All right, well, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank y'all for coming. I hope you learned something.